Hi guys, this is Gary. I'm out here in Rockwood, which is where my daughter goes horse riding. So you can have a quick look. Yeah, she's here Sunday, so she's here for the day looking after horses. And so I'm back here from the Bahamas. I've been back home in South Wales around about a week and a half. But what I want to do is just while she's here and I've just dropped her off, I just wanted to take the time to give you some value from what I got from the Bahamas. Now, while it's an amazing 5-star resort and it was really a beautiful place to be, the main thing that I spent 3 days in an air-conditioned convention for, I listened to some really motivational speakers that are entrepreneurs, and Matt Lloyd had hired these guys, and I talked to two stories about the two speakers that I want to focus on today. One is Russ Whitney and the other one is Kevin Harrington, and Kevin Harrington coaches Matt Lloyd on a monthly basis. So the story goes from Russ Whitney, and I'll post a picture of him with me later on when I get the chance to do this. So I shook his hand after he'd done his speech, and he spent probably about 2 hours with us on stage. And what he was saying was that he'd written a book and he's got coaching programs, and his net worth is around about $250 million. And he was born into parents of both were alcoholics, and he had a terrible upbringing, to a point where he got to, when he was age 17, he went to prison. I don't know why he went to prison, but he didn't touch on that. But what he was saying is that the past doesn't equal the future, and it's how you shape your future now and the actions that you take is important. So he went through a story of how he went to prison at 17, and by the time he was 27 he made his first million. And how he did this was through property. So he made money by identifying a property and doing it up, his first one, making money. And what he was saying is that he thought it was so obvious how to do this. He'd made some money from this, and he started to look for other properties. And over time, he just built it up, property after property, despite of him having some anxieties about will it work, won't it work, and the ideas that he had. But he took action on it, and that's the important point I want to talk to you today about this. He consistently took action. And he said he had the same sort of anxieties from the first house when it was a low price. He made money on that. That he went to the next property. As he built it up to 300, $500,000, up to $1 million properties, you still have a similar sort of anxieties. Will it work? Will I be able to make this money? Will it flop? But he moved on from that. Despite those anxieties, he took action. And he learnt some wisdom from this and applied it to other ideas that he had for other businesses. And he moved on to the online world and digital marketing. So he made his $250 million from a combination of digital marketing and the idea that he could succeed even though he'd been in prison. And I think he was the instrument, made the effort on Rich Dad Poor Dad. So he put together the packages and the training side of it. So he's made a lot of money from that. When I shook his hand after he'd done the speech, and I asked him what were the biggest things for him, it's about the inner voice, how he was having a conversation in his mind and how he changed that over time. He's got a book out which I'll post links to later on. I haven't got the book yet, but he was actually pointing towards that when he was doing his speech. But this guy was amazing, and he just took action. And it wasn't the fact that it was the circumstances he's born into with his parents, it was the fact that he had ideas and put energy behind it. And that's what the same story is with Kevin Harrington. Kevin Harrington is on Shark Tank in America. So if you've ever seen Shark Tank, then you're in the right place watching it. It's very much like Dragon's Den in the UK, if anyone's watched that. So it's worth watching it, where entrepreneurs pitch to the entrepreneurs with multi-million status and money to put into businesses, so they decide whether they're going to invest in the idea, really, that process. When we're at the event, Matt Lloyd, and there's a panel there with Kevin Harrington, actually invested 100,000 into, there's 3 people basically pitching their ideas, and Kevin Harrington put 100,000 into an idea there, which is great to watch. But Kevin Harrington's story is he started off with very little money, and he was telling a story that he's famous for introducing the idea of infomercials in America, and obviously spread around to the world. But he was saying that the idea came from the point that he was thinking about getting cable TV. He bought cable TV, and one night he just turned the channel over to channel 30, and what was happening is there was the bars coming down with different colours. So he phoned up the cable company. He said, "Oh, there's something wrong with my cable subscription. Channel 30 is not working." And they said, "Oh, Mr. Harrington, that's for local businesses to advertise on." He said, "Well, there's nothing on there. It's not working." He said, "Well, it can be a low price on there or free." And he said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" "Well, no one's actually come forward and started doing any advertising on it." So he just thought about that. He said, "Okay, thanks very much," and put the phone down. And later on, he was at a trade show. He was there watching a guy in his late 60s, and the guy was demonstrating how knives worked. He had a set of knives there, and the knives in the demo, what he was doing, he's actually cutting through a trainer or sneakers, and he cut through with a knife, put them to the side, then through a Coke can, and then what he did, he got a tomato and he cut it very, very fine there. And he actually held it up to the audience. And Kevin was saying was that there was probably about 30 people watching the demo there, and they could look through and see right through the tomato. The knife was that sharp after cutting through these sneakers and the Coke can. And he said when he finished, everybody bought a set of knives, and he was amazed by this. And what he did, he connected the dots then to. He had the idea already seated in his mind about the conversation he had with the cable company about advertising. So what he actually did, he phoned up the cable company and said, "How much would it cost to have an infomercial there?" And I think it was around about half an hour slot they had. So he produced the first one, and it was $800. So the same guy did the demo on TV, and the results were, from the infomercial, there was actually 29,000 in sales. So there's a massive profit on there. So of course, he said, "Well, I want to do more of this." So what he's done over the time, what he was saying in the story underneath all that was everybody's got intellectual property rights up here from the 6 inches between your ears, but very, very few people monetize it and take it out and produce a product to do this. And he's taken that onto another level, so that he's done so many, even like George Foreman and other intellectual property rights, and created ideas for that, and sold over 4 billion, which has really come from the idea of taking action from, really, is from, he thinks the channel's not working. So whatever you have in terms of ideas and energy, and you put behind that, you drive that forward, those are the lessons that the guys that are worth 250 million, 450 million, you get to that point where your net worth comes from your ideas and putting action behind it. Most people in the world will have an idea, but it never goes anywhere. It never comes out from here into the world. And that's the part that I got from spending time in the Bahamas. When I paid, 9,000 as a one-time investment for the titanium. So one of that was the event and the Mastermind here, plus the 3,000 commissions that I get. But the real value is masterminding and talking to people who are already succeeding. So that's what I would encourage you to do, is to put energy behind any ideas that you've got. Okay? And certainly with coming into Mobe, you've already got a platform for that, because Matt's already demonstrated that he's done this. He's taken the ideas that he's had and created digital products and a company, and he's aiming for 50 million this year. But long term, this is something that you can aspire to and to reach. And that's what I'd encourage you to do, is to start thinking about what can you do today to get there, and you can use Mobe as a vehicle to this, should you wish to. This is your choice. I just want to share some value here today whilst Bethan's here with the horses and her passion, because you've got to be, one is you've got to be connected to your passion. And I keep teaching Bethan this, and anybody that I'm connected with as an entrepreneur, you know, or struggling in life and want to make more money. And these guys are no different to us, to you, to me. All they do, the difference is, this tiny little difference is, they're taking the ideas here and putting them out into the world, and you can monetize that. You can automate things, as you know. You can build systems around that so that it's done for you and leverage your time. Whilst, you know, I can spend time here with Bethan and enjoy life, but you can do the exact same thing. And these guys were straight down the line. They shared a massive amount of value. I'm not sure what Matt paid for that, but they were spending 2 hours, you know, really feeding the ideas and seeding the ideas for that. It's food for thought. Really, what I want to do is share that with you for being here in the Mastermind group and taking action, you know, and putting your hand in your pocket and saying, okay, then you're committing to this. But all these guys just had high ideas, and it doesn't matter whether you're born into an alcoholic family, been to prison. It's the ideas that count, and taking action, okay? And being consistent, okay? Never giving up. So I hope that's been of value to you. I'll post this into the group as soon as I possibly can. This is Gary out here in Rockwood, beautiful place. You probably hear the birds singing in the background here, and keep rocking it, guys. Peace. Bye bye.